subtraction with renaming. So we're continuing to work on subtraction with mixed numbers. Boys and girls have done a good job thus far, but all of the problems we have had up to this point have been problems where they work perfectly. They didn't have to do any borrowing or regrouping. Today, we are going to learn how to regroup. Let's have a look. I start off by reminding the boys and girls that they learned how to regroup whole numbers back in second grade. And if we had the problem 42 minus 17, we start with the ones place, and we would have 2 minus 7. But we can't take 7 away from 2. So what do? We borrow from the tens. The 4 becomes a 3. We move that 10 over into the ones place, so 10 more with the 2 would make it 12. Now we have 12 here. 12 minus 7 is 5, and then 3 minus 1 is 2. So this is regrouping with standard subtraction. We're going to apply that same skill to mixed numbers. Let's have a look. Suppose we had the problem 1 1/3 minus 2/3. We start with a fraction, so it would be 1/3 minus 2/3. But you can't take 2/3 away from 1/3. There's not enough to do that. So we are going to need to borrow or to regroup. So we go to our whole number, which is 1. We're going to cross that out, and that will become a 0. And then what we do here in 4th grade is we slide that 1 right in front of the fraction. So we have 1 1/3. Really nothing's changed yet, has it? Then the boys and girls have to convert this mixed number into an improper fraction. We learned how to do that a few days ago. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And then the denominator remains 3. So 1 1/3 is the same thing as 4/3. Now we can do 4/3 minus 2/3. Well, 4/3 minus 2/3 is 2/3. And we come back to the whole numbers. There are none left here. So 1 1/3 minus 2/3 is 2/3. Let's try another. Here we have 3 5/12 minus 8/12. We always start with the fractions, 5/12 minus 8/12. We can't do that because we can't take away 8/12 from 5/12. There's not enough. So what we'll do, we'll come to our whole number, we'll borrow from here, the 3 will become a 2, and then we're going to drop the 1 that we borrow right in front of our fraction. So instead of 3 5/12, we have 2 and 1 5/12. So we haven't lost anything yet. We are going to convert our mixed number into an improper fraction. The denominator is going to remain the same. How do we calculate the numerator? 12 times 1, which is 12, plus 5, which is 17. So 1 5/12 is the same thing as 17/12. 17/12 minus 8/12 is 9/12. And then we come back to our whole numbers. 2 minus nothing is 2. So 2 and 9/12. Of course, the boys and girls know that 9/12 can be simplified. So this would be 2 3/4. As we would divide 9/12 by 3/3. Let's look at one other situation that is a little bit different. If we had this problem, 4 minus 2 3/5, as the boys and girls know, we always write our horizontal problems vertically. So we're going to write 4 minus 2 3/5. We start with the fractions. And notice we don't have a fraction here. So it's nothing minus 3/5. Well, you can't take 3/5 away from nothing. So what do? What I have found most helpful for 4th graders is when we have a situation like this, just to write in 0/5. Now, we wouldn't normally do this, but for this kind of problem, it works. So 0/5 minus 3/5, again, we can't do that. So we're going to borrow from our whole number. It becomes a 3, and then we'll drop the 1 right in front of our fraction. Now we want to convert 1 and 0/5 to a fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 0 is 5. So this becomes 5/5. 5/5 minus 3/5 is 2/5. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. So in the case where we don't have a fraction here, I'm instructing the boys and girls to create a fraction of 0 over whatever the denominator is in the second part of the problem, and that'll allow us to continue on. This is how we are subtracting with renaming in 4th grade.